Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, hello and welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I am, of course, Mr. Warren Hayes, and this is the SmackDown Live recap show, and we are going to be recapping specifically, very precisely, the June 25 edition of WWE's Blue Brand. That's what we're going to be doing here this evening, and we are going to be doing it in great company with fantastic people all around here, because as you know, I do these live on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. I was about to say I do these every Monday and Tuesday, but it's not going to be the case anymore, is it? But I do record live on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, and we have quite the house here this evening. We've got a bunch of people, a great group of friends of the show, well-wishers, buddies, pals, chums, chumettes. We have Tim Traver, who's here, Brian Payne, the world's most handsome mod, Blaine Mendoza as well, Maven Glean is with us, Michael Stepney is here as well, Metal 2006, Robert Larry, Dave Pozesky. Choking for real now. That's karma. That's karma right there. Anthony from Smart to Death as well. That ass podcast is also part of the festivities here this evening. Thank you all so very, very much for joining me here this evening. It's an auspicious occasion, isn't it? I talked about this last night. Sort of dropped the bomb on a lot of people. I got a few reactions. I got a few reactions. I got a few surprises, a few shocks, a couple of DMs, because I announced last night that I was bringing the recaps to a close. That this incarnation of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show was coming to an end, and then people were like, "Wait a second, Warren, don't go away, don't die. They've been getting rest in pieces and stuff like that. Let me just clarify this one more time. This is it. This is all one last time. No, not one more time. Let me just talk about this again. And maybe clarify a bit, because I didn't talk about it much. But here's the deal. I'm not, I said this last night. Okay, Warren, get your act together. So, here we go. I'm not stopping. I'm not ending. I'm not bringing an end to wrestling podcasting. I enjoy this too much. This is part of who I've become as a man. So I'm going to continue doing this because it is a lot of fun, and not only fun because it's fun, because I like talking into a microphone. I like thinking that I have an opinion. I like chatting with people, but I met a bunch of great people, and I want to continue doing this, and it's a fantastic time. So I want to keep doing that. I just don't want to do recaps after Raw and SmackDown every night, because, as you know, I do a podcast over on Fightful Select as well every Wednesday night. So that's always keeps me busy. So it's like 3 nights a week that I do wrestling. Plus, sometimes I also do a prediction show for pay-per-views, and then on top of that, sometimes I have other projects, little side things. I get invited onto stuff. I just want to have some time to have a little more fun with podcasting. I want to talk about other types of other promotions, other types of wrestling. AEW is coming up. I kind of feel like I'd like to have some time to talk about that when that's coming up. I love New Japan. I adore New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I want to be able to talk about that more. So I'm not bringing everything to an end. I'm probably going to condense everything a little more. I'm going to see what kind of form this is going to take. But to be also very transparent, or at least to a certain degree with you all, there are some life events happening in your boy Warren's life. And I just need a moment for everything to settle down. I won't... Look, next week, don't expect any exclusive Mr. Warren Hayes Show programming. That's not going to happen. Not next week. Give me maybe a 10-day grace period, something like that. And I'll pop back. I'll come back. In what form exactly? Well, you're going to find out at the same time as everyone else, because I'm just bouncing some ideas in my head right now, and we'll see what tumbles out. But this is, it's more like it's not the end of anything. It's more like it's a repackaging is what's going to happen. So I'm going to be back. But one thing that is super important to me that I'm going to keep doing, because this is really, really essential. I want to make this very clear. I'm going to keep doing these live, because when I started doing the podcast thing, I really talked all by myself. I recorded what I was doing and I toss it out there. And at some point it's very speaking into the void and you're wondering what's going on. And then I started doing it live. People started coming to the show, and I honestly have developed a fantastic group of people who take time out of their busy day to come over here and chat wrestling, chat WWE, as I'm ranting and raving here on my end. And it's a great place. And it's a great place because I've had great moderators who've been watching over everything happening, everything that's been happening in the chat, to create a really cool space where it's not like just assholes who come in and say shit, or like misogynists coming in to say stupid troll shit. It's a fantastic place, and I really do appreciate everyone who comes in to join me, and I want to keep that up. And that's a priority for me. It's really, really, really important. It's really important for me to do that, to keep that thing alive, that part of the show alive. So it's not a sad occasion. It's not an auspicious occasion. I'm not like gonna do a big deal and say, oh, thank you everyone. No. We're moving on. It's the next step. It's level 2. It's not time. We're not mourning. We're celebrating, because it's just going to be better. It's going to be greater, and it's going to give you, more opportunity to try out crazy shit at the same time. So I'm gonna have a good time. I want to say hi to Kristen, who's joined the chat. She's here. How you doing? Bomberuski's here as well. JPQ's jumped in as well. Whole bunch of folks here. A whole bunch of folks. And yeah, Anthony, well, here we go. Anthony's spamming dick pills stuff, right? There we go. Fix that up real quick. There you go. You can keep your ads on your own time, homeboy. Home slice. There we go. So basically, as it stands right now, you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry right now. You don't have to worry, because I'll be back. And you know what? I'm going to be there tomorrow on Fightful Select as well. I will be doing my live 205 Live NXT UK recap show. If you want to subscribe and jump in there, that's going to be a good time. Everyone is going to enjoy that, or at least hopefully, because it's going to be a big evening for NXT and NXT UK tomorrow. So hopefully you'll be able to jump in. I start at 10 p.m. Eastern. And if take the time, head on over to FightfulSelect.com. Head on over there and then check it out. See if there's stuff that interests you, such as what I'm doing, such as the retro pay-per-view reviews that I do with Sean Ross Sapp, such as Sean's weekly Fightful report, such as Steven Jensen, who does the Weekender. Lots of great stuff coming up. Lots of great stuff. So be sure you check that out. Also, don't forget to check out belltobells.com, which is the best possible site on the entire internet. Like, I mean the entire internet. Look, I've scoured the internet for days to look for a better site for women's wrestling coverage, and honestly, I have not found a better one. Kristen Ashley, your girl, is the editor-in-chief of Bell to Bells. So you need to check it out. You need to follow it there. Read the wonderful articles from the wonderful staff who put out such wonderful stuff over on belltobells.com. That's BELLTOBELLES. And you can also follow us on Twitter at the same handle, Bell to Bells. So that is fantastic. Ooh, I'm already all sweaty. Summertime. Isn't summertime fantastic? I know there's press F if you love the summer. Press F if you love the humidity, the heat, the unbearable discomfort that comes with summertime. Press F. It's good to see everyone. Shane Haas just jumped into the chat. How you doing, Shane? There we go. All right. Let's just get to it. Let's talk about this very gross episode of 205. Not 205. I wish I was watching 205 live instead of SmackDown. But not to say that I don't want to hang out with you guys. That's not what I'm saying. It's more like if I had the choice, I would much prefer to watch 205 live instead of SmackDown tonight. But holy smoke. Remember when SmackDown was really good? You remember that? And I want to point out something before we go on, and this distresses me a little. No, actually, two things. First of all, I just want to put this out there very, very simply, very, very simply. I'm just gonna drop this right now. If you haven't been following, by the way, you should follow me on Twitter at MrWarrenHayes, and that'll be the best way to know when I'm coming back into the saddle and when I got everything together, and you'll find out. Just follow me there. You know the whole Seth Rollins, Will Ospreay thing? It's just stupid, okay? It's just stupid. It is literally the equivalent of WWE and New Japan fanboys going at it. There's nothing relevant or interesting that's being told. It's a lot of posturing and pissing, and it's dumb, and they both look dumb. I just wanted to put that out there because it's, what I just look at that and I'm like, well, you know what? Maybe all the marks online, maybe they understand it. Maybe they're debating the way that wrestlers do indeed debate, because man, it's really some stupid shit. It's really dumb. But that's just one thing I wanted to put out of the way. But more relevant to SmackDown now, this is the one thing that I'm a little afraid of. Just a tiny little thing. Just a wee smidge. I'm going to put this here so that when you sit around and watch SmackDown for the next few weeks and you make your own recaps, you do your own recaps in your mind, and you're sitting around thinking about what would Warren say? Oh, is this where he'd say 2.9, They didn't mention the wild card rule tonight. Not once did when Kevin Owens came out, they didn't say wild card rule in effect. When Miz came out, there was a wild card rule in effect. There was none of that. There was no wild cards. There was no wild card rule being mentioned tonight. And that's really stupid. That's really, really stupid. Because you know why? Because they're meshing the brands together again, folks, and they're doing it without telling us. I think that they are officially just merging the brands together. And the brand split will be done, but will be done in a very low-key, very insidious way. And next thing you know, we won't be talking about wild cards anymore. We haven't talked about wild cards tonight. Oh. Anyway, since we're talking about wild cards and irritating things, the show started off with Shane McMahon, who was... Did it seem to you guys that he was reading off a prompter? Did it really seem like you guys that that he was reading off a teleprompter? Because he was staring right into the camera and he didn't flub any lines, and it just seemed to flow technically into itself. I don't know. It wasn't good, and he said, you know, no one better get on my bad side because tonight I am pissed. And I'm like, oh, well, this could be a running theme for the evening, right? This could be like, okay, well, who's going to be the final, not the final, but who's going to be, who's the guy or the gal to get on Shane's bad side and have something horrible happen to him or her. But guess what? In the next segment that we see Shane McMahon, he's all smiles and he's talking to Elias and he's like, hey, cool jams, bro. That's not someone who's pissed off. That doesn't come off as someone who's pissed off. And plus, nothing happened. No one got on his bad side. So it was a lot of bullshit. Again. But the show then, after the Shane segment starts off with the New Day, where we it's official. Well, it was released on social media earlier today, but Kofi is going to be facing Samoa Joe for the WWE title at Extreme Rules. Kofi recaps the attack from Samoa Joe the night before, and he says Samoa Joe's not a complicated man. He's a force of nature. He's a Samoan shark. He's a Samoan shark. And I actually checked it out on, I Googled it. I went on Wikipedia. I looked to see if the Samoan shark was a special type of shark, like a tiger shark or a great white, but no, not necessarily. It's more like a tattoo style, like a shark with all sorts of little swirls inside of it. And yeah, it actually looked pretty cool. Anyway, Dolph comes out and he's still complaining. This is my livelihood, my career. And Dolph says that Dolph says that Kofi took the coward's way out this weekend at Stomping Grounds when he leapt through the door. And I'm like, how did he take the coward's way out when he actually won in a way that is actually a legitimate way and a very Kofi Kingston way of winning a match? But he's a heel, so of course he's not supposed to make sense to me. And he said he's talked to WWE management, and he says, this is my spot. They're not just going to give away my spot. And if you beat Kofi tonight, management said to me, me being Dolph Ziggler, not me being MrWarrenHayes, if you beat Kofi tonight, the Extreme Rules match that you have will become a triple threat match. I'm like, okay, I'm not down with that, and this is really stupid, because and they're going to have a match tonight, which is going to be another 2 out of 3 falls match. Now I get it at this point that they're doing the 2 out of 3. They're doing the 2 out of 3 falls thing because Vince doesn't want wrestling during the commercials, right? Supposedly, allegedly, because again, anyway, I'm going to get into it in a bit. But, if every match becomes a 2 out of 3 falls, everything just loses its luster. It's like a stip for a stip. It devalues the nature of the match. And it takes away the drama from it because we know what's coming up. Because we know what's coming up. What's coming up is a commercial. So we're going to get a pin soon. So it takes away from the drama of the commercial. And this is where I thought this was actually going to be a good idea, to say no wrestling during the commercials. But if we're going to be doing it this way, I'm having 2 out of 3 falls for every match so that the commercials can be fit in. No, I don't. I'm okay then with wrestling happening during the commercial and I don't see it because it's just breaking the flow too much. And I cannot imagine for the audience in the arena, you know, I can't imagine for them what it's like. Oh, brother. The decisions that they make sometimes, they're just so strange. And how about this? Here's another thing. Here's another thing. And then I'm all gleaning all of this out of this first segment here. Why isn't Samoa Joe fighting Dolph Ziggler for number one contendership then? Like, I'm okay with Dolph coming out despite the fact that he lost his two previous chances at the WWE Championship. That he lost them. He lost them both. Despite the fact that he comes out and asks for a third chance while he clearly doesn't deserve it. If he were to come out and ask for the number one contendership and said, I will fight Samoa Joe for it because it's my spot, whatever. If it's that great, why not just have them fight for it? Why not just have the number one contendership be decided in a match? Whoopee-pee! Oh, what a novel concept. What about, that's something, wow, right? I would have been okay with that. Would have given Kofi a break. You don't have to have him wrestling every week either. It could have been ringside. And then you have Joe destroy Dolph and establish him as a credible, strong threat to Kofi's title. We only have, 3 weeks to build for this? 3 weeks to build. Better start at it, boys. But no, that's not why. It's not what they decided to do. So, Elias is backstage. The Miz walks out. He's a wild card, but like I said, they're not using the term wild card. So he wants to go see Shane, but Elias doesn't let him into Shane's office. Miz says they have unfinished business and he wants a match against Shane tonight. Then he leaves. And the moment he leaves, Shane comes out and he says, hey, hey, nice jams, for a guy, like I said, for a guy who was pissed. It wasn't, he didn't seem very up in arms about stuff. So essentially he says, Elias and Miz trade some, not a lot, Shane and Elias, I'll get to it. Shane, they have some words and they set up a match. He said, and he tells Elias, I will fight The Miz if he defeats you, Elias, first. In a 2 out of 3 falls match. And I'm like, Jesus. Oh. It's ridiculous. First match of the night was the Planet's tag team, Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan. Eric Rowan was sporting a GIRTH t-shirt this evening. Facing off against the New Day, because the New Day were established as top contenders last night on Raw, despite the fact that they lost Sunday night, and despite the fact that they lost on Raw last night as well. So there's your top contenders, folks. Bryan shoulder blocks Woods down to start. Woods whips him into the ropes, gets shoulder blocked again by Bryan, but Bryan keeps running and he bounces back and eats a drop kick from Woods, who covers Bryan, but only gets 2. Rowan is in and he mows Xavier down, hits an elbow drop, covers Woods, but only gets 2. Woods gets hung up over the top rope, diving knee off the top rope by Daniel Bryan to the back of Woods' neck, covers again, only gets 2. Woods fights back with some strikes, but gets chopped down with with a back elbow. And we cut to commercial. And I'm like, what? What? a what? Weren't there not supposed to be commercials? Wait, this isn't a 2 out of 3 falls match. So why is the match continuing during the commercial if we're not supposed to have wrestling during the commercials? So if we're okay with letting matches continue during commercials, why do we have 2 out of 3 falls matches again tonight? Oh. Back from commercial, Xavier Woods kicks Eric Rowan down and gets the hot tag to Big E, who gets overhead belly to belly suplexes and a regular belly to belly suplex. The big splash comes on. He goes for the big splash on Daniel Bryan, but Bryan lifts his knees and he gets the label lock in, but Woods breaks that shit up. He gets tossed out. Rowan goes after him on the floor, but Woods gets the big Rowan with a drop kick. Bryan with yes kicks in the corner. Running kick is interrupted by a Uranagi by Big E, which then sets up the Midnight Hour. See, it wasn't completely off. And the New Day pinned the champs. So that's part of the match that's done here. However, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, again a wild card, but still wasn't mentioned, run in and they attack from behind. And Rowan comes in and they start beating up on the baby faces, but then Heavy Machinery come in for the save. They take out the heels. It took some time for Otis to get to the ring. Didn't you notice? Like, Tucker hit the ring and Otis was like a good 5 to 6 seconds before he could actually, because Tucker has no mobility. Tucker, I believe, not Tucker, but Otis has no mobility. I believe that Otis Dozovich, he doesn't have joints. He just sort of shifts momentum in his girth to simulate movement, to simulate like he can move like regular people. But in reality, he doesn't. He doesn't move. So this sets up an 8-man tag team match. We get this after the commercial, with Sami Zayn beating up on Tucker, and then the heels work him down. Rowan, there's a nod spot where Rowan takes him up to the top rope, but nothing really comes out of it. So Rowan sets him up again, and then apparently the spot happens. A superplex covers Tucker, but the New Day break it up. Flying knee from Bryan connects. Woods eats the global palming. Tucker clotheslines the hell out of Daniel Bryan. Hot tags to Dozovich. He steamrolls Sami Zayn. Hits his spinning power slam as Kevin Owens is sort of standing there with his arms like this. Like, what the hell? What are you doing, Sammy? You know, kind of things like, how are you letting this happen? Otis hits double avalanches in the corner. The Caterpillar, and KO is like, he just shrugs everything off. He's like, sayonara, I am out of here, and I'm all for that. Let Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn live on their own. That to me is a much, much better situation. And the compactor arrives on Sami Zayn, and the baby faces sweep. They win again. So good job. Fun match. It was okay. It was fun. I preferred just the New Day and the Planets tag team together. Although it's still very weird that once again, the champions are losing. It was all about the champions losing tonight anyway, except for Kofi. Oh, look at this. Carlos is here. How you doing? And do my eyes deceive me? John Baez is here. John, we haven't seen you in such a while. It's good to see you. Richard Storm is here as well. Hello, everyone. Good to see everyone jumping in. John says Otis was created incomplete. And J.S. Brown is here as well. Good to see everyone on the final SmackDown Live recap show. We have a recap of last night's Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss stuff, which is an entirely Raw thing, but we still have to recap it on SmackDown. Again, Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, technically wild cards, but they're not mentioning the wild card rules. So, yeah, it's a very, very poor idea. Very, very poor idea to break up the brand split. Anyway, Nikki Cross is sitting with with Alexa in a pre-taped segment, and basically telling Alexa that she's going to fight Bayley on SmackDown, and if she wins, and she's actually going to fight for Alexa's right to party. No, to have a women's title rematch at Extreme Rules. So, Next we have The Miz versus Elias. This thing happened. 2 out of 3 falls again. Shane comes out as well with Elias because, of course, Miz dumps Elias to the outside early on. Baseball slide to the floor follows. Running clothesline into the corner. But Shane distracts The Miz, which allows Elias to deliver a jumping knee and the drift away. And Elias with the quick 1-0 on Miz. So we cut to commercial. Back from commercial, we get the second pinfall that begins. Elias is in control with the suplex, covers, but only gets 2. Then he locks in a chin lock, because that's exciting stuff. Miz fights back, though, with some strikes, kicks in the corner, running double knees. He hits them twice. He avoids Elias running out of the corner with a jumping knee, tries for the skull-crushing finale. Elias avoids it, and Miz hits a DDT, covers Elias, but again only gets 2. Miz is staring a hole into Shane McMahon, who's on the outside, and he starts hitting some yes kicks on he starts hitting some the yes kicks on Elias. Shane tries to interfere. Miz smacks him off the apron. Some shenanigans ensue. Miz hits the skull-crushing finale on Elias, covers him, but Shane breaks up the pin, which forces the referee to call the disqualification on this pin, so Miz wins by DQ at 1-1. But Shane and Elias beat Miz up nice and proper, toss him over the announce desk, toss him into the barricade. The audience is chanting, "No more Shane," from the audience. So that is, that's something. And Miz is effectively dead at this point. There's even a spear, because apparently Shane McMahon can deliver just as devastating a spear as Roman Reigns can. And Elias then goes up top, hits a flying elbow, pins Miz, and that's the match. And there's a coast to coast after the match. Look, I've said this before, and I'll say this again. I've said this before, and I'll say this again. If you could only think for a second, just a second here, as to whether, or if you could just think for a second, if any wrestler was getting Shane McMahon's push right now, that would be so fantastic for that wrestler. Why is no one on that roster getting Shane McMahon's push? I don't believe that he can deliver a Roman Reigns-like spear. I don't. He can barely deliver a punch. And he's not that charismatic. He's not that interesting on the mic. He's Shane McMahon, and he's getting the monster push. I don't understand why they're not building. I don't understand why they're not building stars. I really don't. It's just ridiculous. It is just absolutely ridiculous. I want to say, oh, look at this. Chris Spizak from the Spies and the Benchmark show just popped in. Farewell show. Look, okay, I'm going to say this again for the people who just joined in at the 11 o'clock mark, because I know a lot of folks jump in once some other recap shows are done. I'm not quitting. I'm not disappearing. I'm putting the recap shows on ice. I'm going to do something else. It's not a farewell show. I'm not disappearing forever. Jeez. I'll be back. I'll be fine. All right. Chat, let me know if Anthony from Smart to Death has calmed down a bit. Because he was a bit out of control, wasn't he, this evening, chat? That's why... press F if you think we should give Anthony his mod powers back tonight. So after the match, we have a live Finn Balor sighting, folks. There's a Finn Balor on television. We saw him tonight, and he's there, and he's like, okay, what's I'm looking for my next contender. It's like, who's up next? And then who appears with Shinsuke Nakamura? What is this, old homie week? I feel like I'm at my 10-year my 10-year class reunion. It's like people I feel like I know. I remember these people. I remember seeing them at some point, and their faces are they're so fuzzy. I'm like, wait, yeah. Yes, I remember. This is Finn Balor. This is Shinsuke Nakamura. All the memories start washing back. It's such a grand moment. That was so emotional for me. I thought this was fantastic. Oh my goodness. My goodness. So apparently we're setting up for Finn Balor versus Shinsuke Nakamura, which I'm okay with. I see 3 Fs in the chat, 4 Fs regarding Anthony's potential return to mod status. I don't know, four chats, not 4 chats, but 4 Fs. I'm not too convinced yet. I'm not convinced yet. Maybe he still has some work to do. I don't know. I'll let you guys figure this out. John Bias says, "Who's this Nakamura guy?" Exactly. Blaine says, "There's a line of wrestlers ready to be put into feuds, pitted against each other for secondary feuds. Yet we have a get the fuck off my screen Shane push." Exactly. And JPQ says, "Warren's secrets number 37. The glasses are a shoot. Hashtag goodbye Warren. The glasses are anything but a shoot. Anything but a shoot." Anthony, you can't press F for yourself. That's just wrong. You can't do that. That's just wrong. Next match we have is the Nikki Cross Bayley situation here, where, as you may recall, if Nikki Cross wins the match, Alexa Bliss gets another title match against Bayley. And Cross goes right after Bayley. Immediately as the bell sounds, she has something to prove. Apparently, Bayley gets back in control early on until Nikki Cross kicks her. There's a crossbody off the top rope by Cross, who covers Bayley, but of course only gets 2. Bayley sets Cross into a tree of woe, springboard elbow off the bottom rope onto Cross's chest, covers her for 2, and we go to another commercial. So it wasn't like a production flub at first, which I kind of thought maybe it was. No. This was intentional. So we can get matches continuing during the commercial. That can happen. Why do we have the 2 out of 3? Alec, look. It's exhausting. Back from commercial, Nikki hits a chin breaker, avoids some offense, and hits her avalanche bulldog and an inverted DDT as well. Bayley misses a dive, and boy, does Bayley miss a dive. Oh, does she land hard on the floor outside. Oh, boy. Back in the ring, Nikki hits the purge, but Bayley kicks out of the purge. Bayley misses a top rope crossbody and cross, and then they both trade pin attempts. Sloppy, slow pin attempts, but it ends up with Nikki pulling out the surprise win. This match wasn't great. Let's put it that way. It wasn't great. Feels like it was thrown together very, very quickly, as if the ladies didn't quite know what was going on. But Nikki Cross, after the match, man, she celebrated like she just won the Women's World Cup of Soccer. Like, she was thrilled, enchanted. This is fantastic. This was fantastic stuff. So Nikki won. And she, at some point, she even grabs Corey Graves' phone at commentary to call Alexa. And you see her, she's like, let me call Alexa. And she goes like, I don't know Alexa's number. She's just like, what am I doing? This is stupid. I don't know how to get in touch with her. I thought that was hilarious stuff. I thought that was really, really fun. So basically the best part of it, the best part of this whole segment was Nikki's celebration, because the match was really, really so-so. Wasn't all that great. Backstage, Carmella runs into Fire and Desire, where they exchange a couple of words, but then R-Truth pops out from the like the hockey barricade. I don't know what it's called, and I'm Canadian. Like, I don't know. And he says that he's been hiding out there, and then Drake Maverick arrives, and he says, he's Truce. He's still in his wedding clothes. He's disheveled. He doesn't look good. And he says, I have nothing left. My wedding was ruined. I spent thousands and thousands of dollars of my mother-in-law's money for it to happen. And he says, my life is in shambles. Ever since I lost the title, and Truth is like, okay, go get a ref. Yeah, just go get a ref. I'll be okay with this. But then he goes, psych, no, your life is in shambles, you loser. Yeah, and he goes. And it's kind of a dick move. I thought it was kind of a dick move. Right? I thought it wasn't it kind of a dick move by Truth? I thought it was. J.S. Brown says it would have been a sneaky way for Corey to get Alexa's digits. That would have actually been a nice little with the phone, with the Nikki Cross on the phone. That would have actually been pretty fun. I would have liked that. And I'm gonna miss the chat. I'm not killing everything here. We're still gonna do this. Oh my goodness, we're all gonna have a chance to talk again. Everyone's acting as if I'm dying. Jesus, I'm not. I'll be. You bunch of snowflakes. Next we had Ember Moon versus Sonya Deville. For what it was, we had two women who were definitely ready to make the most out of out of the time that they had on television. They throw hands really early on. DeVille goes with a takedown and really nice sliding knee. Covers Moon but gets two. But Ember Moon fights back and she blasts DeVille with a forearm, some kicks, a drop kick. And then it just... Mandy basically distracts Ember Moon and Sonya tosses her into the post and covers her for the win. That was kind of weird. That was really kind of strange. But, look, I feel that at least here, both Sonya and Ember were like, let's make the most out of this situation. Let's just go ahead and make the absolute best move that we can. The best moment that we can with the short amount of time that we have. And they just ate it up. They really did do, I found, the best. They made the best of the time that they had allotted. It wasn't much. It was nothing really, and the ending was weird, but it still worked for what it was. But yeah, could give us a 10 minutes or so. And look at that, Sean Ross Sapp jumped into the chat saying, rest in peace, Warren. And then of course, I'm not dying. Aleister Black cuts another one of his backstage promos again, but however, this time someone knocks on the door. So I'm saying to myself, well, you know what? It just might be that overall these weeks, they finally are building to something. Maybe next week Aleister is going to fight someone. But then again, maybe not. Maybe next week, Aleister is going to stay in the little room there, because this is WWE. Remember, he's going to stay in the little room and he's going to be like, last week I was ready to fight someone and someone knocked on my door. Why do I kind of sound like Macho Man Randy Savage? I don't do an Aleister Black impression, but you have Aleister Black be, I was sitting here and someone knocked on the door. Someone wanted to fight. Well, if they're serious, they're going to come knock on the door again this week, and then there's another knock on the door and they do this for another 2 weeks. This is WWE. They might just swerve us again for a couple of weeks. It's so fingers crossed, positivity. Next week, Aleister Black maybe fighting someone. That'd be nice. And we have Phil in the chat, CM Phil. You guys in the chat are so stupid. Main event time. Kofi Kingston versus Dolph Ziggler in a 2 out of 3 falls match. If Dolph wins, of course, as we mentioned previously, the WWE Championship match becomes a triple threat. Otherwise, it's still just Kofi versus Joe. And we get some back and forth between them both to begin, until a dropkick by Dolph Ziggler sends Kofi flying and covers him, but only gets 2. Dolph goes for a monkey flip, but Kofi lands on his feet. He follows it with a dropkick, and he covers Dolph. Again, he also gets 2. There's a sequence of near fall pins. Sunset flip is blocked by Dolph, who then just basically sits down to cover Kofi and holds the ropes to hold the pin, but the ref sees it. So they break up the pin, but that distraction is good enough to allow Kofi to roll Dolph Ziggler up and get the first pinfall on Kofi Kingston, on Dolph Ziggler. Kofi Kingston gets it on Dolph Ziggler. That's how it works. But Dolph is not taking this lightly. He starts beating up on Kofi before the next pin starts. He tosses Kofi into the barricade, a zigzag on the floor. And when we get back from commercial, Kofi almost gets the second pin attempt, but instead he eats a super kick, and Dolph covers Kofi and gets the pin. So now we're at 1 pin apiece. And here's something for you trivia buffs. Here's something that you might want to keep in mind. Kofi Kingston, this is the first pinfall attempt. This is the first time that Kofi Kingston has been pinned since becoming WWE champion at WrestleMania. And it is in this nonsense match with a nonsense stipulation, and it's Dolph Ziggler that gets it. So take that for what it's worth. Of course, we had to have the 1-1 because we needed this intense drama here that had been building for such a long time here throughout this match. But I don't want to give the impression that I'm crapping on this match. This was a really, really, really fun match. It's just the 2 out of 3 pinfalls it's just completely unnecessary. So the match starts up again, and Dolph hits a neck breaker immediately as it starts, covers Kofi, but only gets 2. Dolph then grounds Kofi into a body scissors with a sort of a crossface at the same time. But finally, Kofi fights out. He Irish whips Dolph hard into the corner. But Dolph drops him face first into the turnbuckles, hits a big elbow drop, covers Kofi, but only gets 2. Kofi fights back, fires off with some chops. A drop kick is interrupted. Dolph actually catches it and monkey flips Kofi, who lands on the second rope for a springboard body splash that connects on Dolph, but Dolph rolls through for a cover, and Kofi kicks out at 2.9. Trouble in Paradise is, there's a DDT that follows immediately after by Dolph, covers Kofi again for 2. Kofi fights back. He hits a top rope flying forearm, covers Dolph again for 2. The Famouser is interrupted by a sit-out power bomb, and Kofi covers Dolph, who kicks out at 2.9. Trouble in Paradise is blocked, but Kofi rolls him up for another 2 count. Ziggler posts Kofi, hits the zigzag, covers Kofi, and gets another 2. A super kick is avoided, a Trouble in Paradise is avoided, but a second Trouble in Paradise connects, and that puts your boy Dolph Ziggler away for good. He is not going to be part of a triple threat. He is donezo. If he comes out next week and asks for his spot again, I honestly think someone from Human Resources in WWE Corporate should come out and say, listen, buddy, you're not hitting your KPIs right now. We need you to take a step back. Just come on over, and we're gonna go put you over here, and you're gonna sit down here, and you're gonna earn your spot. I hope this really is the end, and then we can start building with Joe, because I was really expecting Joe to pop in here at the end, which would have been a really nice touch. Let's be honest. That's not what we got. But this was a fun match. Much better than the cage match that they had at Stomping Grounds. Miles better. So if you want to check that out, go right ahead. Of course, if you want to check me out, you can do it right now. Or you can come join me tomorrow on Fightful Select at 10 p.m. Eastern for my NXT 205 Live NXT UK recap show. Oh my God, you guys in the chat, you are so depressing. I'm not going away. I'm not disappearing. I'm not dying. I'm just going to... One last time. I'm ending the recaps, but I'll be back doing something else, talking about wrestling again. I don't want a 10 bell salute. Carlos. Jesus. This is not an auspicious moment. I'm not like, We're transforming. We're adapting with the times. We're trying stuff out. We're going to do something new. Sheesh. Can't imagine what's going to happen whenever I do retire. Some people are waiting for my retirement more than others, by the way. So, oh my God. You people in chat. There you go. That's what you wanted. You wanted me to turn heel at my very last WWE recap show. There you go. You people right there. Oh. So there you go. I'm wrapping up my SmackDown Live recap shows with a very confusing episode, leading us into a very confusing pay-per-view. Well, not leading in, but I mean, we're eventually going to get into a very confusing pay-per-view. I don't like how Extreme Rules is being set up. Then again, I didn't care much for Stomping Grounds as well, but it turned out to be fantastic. Who knows what's going to happen? After all, I don't know if you heard, but WWE is the best damn wrestling on the planet. So there you go. So, folks, honestly, thank you all for joining me on the stretch of recaps that I did on Mondays and Tuesdays. I am still stunned that anyone showed up, much less with such regularity as a lot of you have, and I really do appreciate it. Makes this a lot more fun, and I was glad to be able to do this. But moving on, we're going to try something else. It's going to be something new, and I'm still going to be doing this live, so I'm still going to need y'all to show up and join me, because it's still going to be a great time together. We're not done yet. I'm not through with you people yet. I'm not done with y'all yet. If you're not already subscribed here to youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, do consider doing that. I didn't even talk about the fact that I'm on podcasts. I just realized that because I was so overcome with emotion. If you follow me on your favorite podcast application, do consider a subscription there, a follow, whatever it is. That always helps. And follow me on Twitter if you want to make sure that you know exactly where I'm at, what's going to happen. Within the next 2 weeks or so, I'll be back with something. You'll see. What is it going to be exactly? Follow me on Twitter at MrWarrenHayes. That's the best way to do it. I want to thank everyone for showing up this evening. I want to thank everyone who's watching on their own time as well. I hope you had a good time. I know I did. And honestly, I will see you next time.